Last week, there was the United Nations General Assembly. Even when the President of the United States of America was insulting everybody, African leaders sat there. But when their fellow African head of state is talking, they are busy doing other things. Who cast us? Who bewitched us? These are the uncomfortable questions that we must ask here. We have been too nice to each other for too long. The net effect is that if you go into any African environment, if you go to any African school and you ask young men and women, do you want to leave Africa? 9 of them want to run away. That is why they are dying in the Mediterranean Sea. That is why they are dying off the coast of Senegal. That is why they are being humiliated at embassies. You go to the embassy of any Western country, in any African country, and you'll see the humiliation. They ask you, even your great-great-grandmother, who died long before you were conceived as an idea. Those are the circumstances in which we find ourselves. On average, many of you who are present here, allow me to be morbid, in the next 40 years, you'll be upstairs. The question is, what are you leaving for your children and children's children? What is it? These are the questions. These are the uncomfortable questions that we must ask. And these questions must be answered by Nigeria primarily. I've said not once, not twice, but times without number, that the day Nigeria wakes up, that is the day Africa wakes up. You know, a friend of mine once told me, if you go anywhere in the world and you do not find a Nigerian, run out of that place. There is nothing there. And those of you who have had occasion to travel, you go to different parts of the world, you look for the best doctors, Nigerian. Look for the best engineers, Nigerians. Look for some of the best lawyers, Nigerians. The Nigerians are everywhere doing great things across the continent of Africa. And whenever Nigeria has decided to provide leadership, Africa has changed. You ask the Liberians with ECOMOG. When Nigeria stood up, that country was stabilized. When there was mischief in Banjul in the Gambia, and Nigeria stood up, that country was stabilized. When Nigeria did not do as well as she should have done in the Sahel, the problem is not stabilized. The question is, why is Nigeria a reluctant leader? Nigeria should be the leader economically. You know, when Nigerians say, and they debate with South Africa, and sometimes with Egypt, which is the biggest of the economies, I laugh. I laugh because the economies that they are talking about using the unreliable GDP, but we must use it, is that Nigeria is 500 billion USD GDP with a population of over 200 million. Singapore, which is smaller than Lagos, with a population of 6 million, has a GDP of 564 billion. So the debate between Nigeria and Egypt and South Africa is a debate between two dwarfs as to which one is the taller of them. Even if one is taller than the other, they are still dwarfs. The day that I will celebrate Nigeria is the day Nigeria tells me we are 2 trillion economy. And Nigeria can achieve it. And Nigeria must achieve it. What does Nigeria not have? Is the oil that is produced in Nigeria different from the oil that is produced in Saudi Arabia? Is it different than the oil that is produced in Kuwait, that is produced in Bahrain, that is produced in Qatar? Why must Nigeria not be the leader that has pipelines across the continent of Africa? Why can she not do it? She can. But we have allowed ourselves to be paralyzed by analysis and to be paralyzed by lamentation. It is your own kinsman, Chinua Achebe, who said that adversity is a problem of humanity, but we must never allow ourselves to be the victims or the agents of adversity. We must allow ourselves to be the conquerors of adversity, Chinua said. And I remember so very vividly in 1983 when Chinua Achebe wrote the little book, The Trouble with Nigeria, and he simply said that the problem with Nigeria, and he there said the rest of Africa, is simply and squarely one of leadership. And his leadership at all levels. Many times we think that politics is the only site of leadership. No. Leadership is at all levels. Why can't you, if you've run this beautiful club for 82 years and run it well, why can't that be upscaled and replicated in every other sector of Nigeria? Why? Why is it that in this micro environment, you do not care who is who in this club? Everybody has a sense of esprit de corps, a sense of camaraderie. You do not care from which ethnicity you come from. But when you want to run the club that is Nigeria, you now talk tribe, you now talk religion. Why? These are the uncomfortable questions that you must confront, because if you do not confront them, then Nigeria and Africa will continue to punch below her weight. I'm suggesting to you that the time is now that we must ask ourselves what it is that we can do. We have lamented for too long. Let us now ask ourselves what it is that Nigeria can do in the area of education. You know, many of you who are present in this assembly may be described as upper middle class or the top class. You are the best of the best. You are the crème de la crème of Nigeria. And when you are the crème de la crème of Nigeria, it means you are also the crème de la crème of Africa.